Hi, this is Andrew Smith, instructor at Ferris State University, runner of art by Smitty.com. This is part 3 in my Dota 2 workshop tutorial series. In this part, we're going to talk about finalizing the concept and finalizing the design of our weapon inside of Photoshop. Now in part 2, we talked about creating the design with Alchemy and refining it in Photoshop. In part 1, we went over all the basics that you need to know before even getting started with a Dota 2 workshop item. So let's move forward. If you remember, this is kind of what we ended up with, where we had these two different designs that we liked. Scrap the one on the left. We're using the one on the right here because of the simplicity of the design and the fact that it read very well from far away. We talked about value grading and making this part red because this is black and this is white. Basically what we're doing is we're reducing the contrast in the value patterning to kind of break this model up a little bit. So from here, this is the image I'll bring into Photoshop and actually use it as a rough guide while I'm painting my final concept. So before we get into Photoshop, actually, I want to show you guys a website. If you're not super familiar with digital painting, this is a great resource. ControlPaint.com. Now this is a great website. I've never been classically trained. I've never taken a class in painting. You might be able to see that when I'm actually painting out my concept. I like to practice all my skills, obviously, and I think every 3D artist will tell you an understanding of painting is just as important, and all of your art skills are just as important as any other one. Your understanding of light and shadow and color and form and composition are kind of universal art theories that you need to have a good understanding of if you want to be successful in this industry. Now, go through this website, go through their tutorials, train yourself if you need to. Anthony Jones. He goes by Robot Pencil. Great 2D concept artist whose powers far succeed my own. Great artist. And what's cool about Anthony is he's very involved here on his website. You can keep up with him here, robotpencil.org. He also did a Schoolism interview where he's literally giving us his tool presets, his brush presets for free, and he's showing us how to use each one of them. So this is actually what I use, and along with a few other brush presets from DeviantArt that I've found from users. But this is primarily my tool set that I use while I'm painting. Now, you can get away with using literally 2 different brushes in Photoshop. That's it. A lot of artists think that the more brushes you have or the better understanding of brushes, the better artist you'll be. A good artist doesn't blame their tools. So with that being said, you should be able to master 1 or 2 brushes and do almost everything you need to do. Now, yes, some brushes do help things run a little bit smoother, but for the most part, don't blame your tools. So coming in here, I like to go to File, New. I like to paint at 2560 by 1600 at 300 dpi, simply because that's the resolution of my 30-inch monitor. That recently broke, but I assume a lot of art directors out there probably have those sitting around, so that's what I like to paint my my paintings at, and I could double the size or triple the size using the same aspect ratio. Anyways, coming in here, if you go have your brush menu open, these first 2 brushes, the soft airbrush and the hard brush, are really all you need. Use shape dynamics and transfer, then you can kind of control the intensity of your brush as well as the size and color. So, sorry, just the size. So to get rid of some of these artifacts that you see there, you can just turn down the spacing, and you should see, and actually let's turn that down even more, you should see a nicer looking gradient flow through like that. Okay, so those are your brushing basics. I'm not going to get too much in depth right now. I'm mostly just going to kind of talk while you guys watch me paint my concept, and from there we'll just run through the rest of part 3. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I bring in that rough concept that we got from Alchemy in Photoshop into Photoshop, and I'm just kind of cleaning up some of the areas, and then I drop the opacity on that layer so I can just kind of use it as a guide. From here, I'm just using the standard flat brush that comes standard with Photoshop, and I'm painting on a new layer, and I'm just kind of using that shift-click technique to draw straight lines everywhere and then filling them in appropriately. Now I've kind of thought more about this weapon and what it's going to look like in 3 dimensions. I did have a few changes I experimented with here. I felt the blades didn't have enough separation from the rest of the weapon, so I tried to kind of extend the blades out just a little bit to give this a little bit more of an interesting silhouette. And I thought they just looked a little bit more menacing and mean with the blades sticking out further. They can deal more damage. From here I tried making the blades a little bit bigger, but realized I was probably I shouldn't be making decisions like that at this point in the process. From here, I thought the next most important piece was to get the areas that glow looking correct. So I created a new layer and started painting the shapes of how this is going to glow. It looks like from here I'm just kind of finishing up the design. I wanted to make this kind of like this rubber panel that you would help hang on to. From here is when I kind of went in and just added, using blending options, just really gave it that stroke outline. And I thought that was kind of important, at least in this very beginning stage. Okay, this is the point where I decide, okay, I'm going to stop using my blending options, because you can see people use that all the time. I just wanted to get my shapes down. I collapsed all my layers onto one another. And then now I'm just going to paint like an artist. So I've got really some flat colors with a little bit of shading going on with the bevel and boss, but I'm pretty much going to paint over all of this anyways. And I'm just kind of adjusting the way that is. So there's a good example of why you want to paint on layers. Now I'm coming in here and I'm just kind of trying to treat this as metal, and I need to think about my light source. My light source is going to be coming from the upper well, from the direction we're looking at it now, it'll be coming from the upper left. So I need to make sure that the bottom is a little bit darker than the top, and I'll just kind of keep that in mind, that my light source is coming from the upper left. That's why the blade on the upper left is really bright, and down below it's a little bit darker. You can see that transition. So as I'm painting, again with just using the hard edge brush and clicking and shifting, looks like I made some color adjustments. Desaturated this image just a little bit, and again I collapsed everything into its own layer, and I'm just, now that I have all the basic shapes, I'm just trying to start blending colors, mixing colors, always thinking about where's my light source coming from. Obviously in this case it's coming from the upper left, so I need to shade things appropriately. At this point, I try to paint with as much color as I can, adding some red tint, because as we have global illumination bounce, photons of light bouncing around our scene, they're going to pick up and transfer not only information but color information from one part of the mesh to the other part. So yeah, the gray on the metal is going to have a little bit of a red tint to it, because the look and feel I'm going for. Here I decided I needed to break up some of the just boringness of this weapon there in the middle, and then I added, since I painted that glow on a separate layer, I set it to an additive blending mode, and now it looks like it's glowing. I have two over there if you look on the right hand side. One's larger, one's bigger, and then finally I'm coming in and making some more color adjustments, kind of unifying the color schemes and just playing with the way it looks. Again, my painting skills aren't the best, and I've luckily found some ways some techniques that help me work a little bit faster. And honestly, for this concept, I don't have to go for photorealism or anything like that. I just need to, the basic idea right now is that I'm fleshing out my design so that when I bring this into 3D, I don't have any questions like, what if this went here, or what does this look like? And honestly, I can tell you at the end of this painting, I know exactly what this weapon, for the most part, is going to look like in 3D. I don't really have any questions about what am I going to model, where am I going to put it. After doing this painting, I've discovered that I'm ready to go. I know how this weapon's going to work, and I know what I'm going to do. So here I'm adding some more details in the blade to make it feel like steel. Adding some just random reflections and stuff. The idea is that the leather feels like leather, the lights feel like lights, steel feels like steel. Okay, and that's pretty much it.